global happenings today. We communicate, we analyze global news. Stay tuned.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Global Happiness Today YouTube channel. We have very interesting trending news to render. One has to do with what happened in Enugu, where the PDP they were hosting a meeting, and the youth decided to do the needful. In fact, it's not a small water we are seeing these days as the elections are getting closer. And of course, a lot of news are beginning to come out from Nnpp, where they're beginning to see agreement that was signed during the time where Kwankwaso had promised Shikaro a lot of things, and now it's like the deal has gone bad, and they're beginning to unveil a lot of things. People are wondering, a lot of Nigerians are wondering, maybe that's one of the things that would have befallen Peter Obi if he had gone into agreement, but that's on the side. Then the third one is the fact that, shocking but real, the federal government has suspended work on Eastern Railway. And one of the former senators in Nigeria, have decided to tell the situation really to Nigerians why that may be so. Well, the federal government had actually said it was a case of insecurity. Nigerians are wondering, is South is more insecure than the northern parts, where every day we keep hearing the issue of banditry and kidnapping. You can't even compare that to Southeast, and yet the railway is suspended in Southeast. Quite interesting, I must say. We're going to look through all this, but before we do that, kindly subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe button beside it. You see a bell notification icon. Please go ahead, click on it to get notified as soon as you update our channel on YouTube. Well, a trending video has been going online where a PDP youth chairman, the representative of PDP, had a town hall meeting where they wanted to mobilize the youth and, for the forthcoming election, and how they have to, fare, and what they need to keep their structures intact. And the youth chair, the youth leader there came out very, very vexed, and he told them that he broke down the local government areas, broke down the wards, and broke down the number of youth. And he said if they're going to give them 100,000 per ward, if you go through all the logistics, it's going to be just 5,000 for the youths in Enugu, in that word. And it's unacceptable that the country is hard. They can't just collect 5,000 naira for such a tedious work. And by the time the PDP stalwarts tried to explain things, they got very vexed and they scattered the whole meeting. And Nigerians have been reacting, saying that if this is what is happening, while Nigerians are busy supporting, promoting, even giving to the cause of Peter Obi, the opposite seems to be the opposition party, where they are giving and the youth are getting angry that the shishi or the little they are giving is not enough because the country is very hard. Honestly, I don't know how this is faring, but a lot of Nigerians seem to be kind of excited over what is happening. But let's find out what is happening in Southeast that is bringing a lot of reactions. The federal government has suspended work on the Eastern Rail Line due to what the government described as insecurity and vandalism of railway properties. The suspension of the project has been attracting mixed reactions from social media users, and one of those who reacted was the human rights activist and former senator representing Kaduna Central Senatorial District, Senator Shehu Sani. The Minister of Transportation, Sambo, recently announced that the contractor handling the reconstruction and rehabilitation of the rail line, China's Civil Engineering and Construction Company, CCEC, have been complaining about attacks on its workers along Abia State axis. In the report, which was made known, Sambo said that he is unhappy with this and added that no administration in the history of Nigeria has invested so much in rail infrastructure the way President Muhammadu Buhari administration has done. Despite the statement from the federal government, Shehu Sani said that insecurity couldn't have been the only reason the work was suspended. Well, according to Shehu Sani, let me quote him word for word. He said insecurity couldn't have been the reason behind the suspension of the Eastern Rail Line, but refusal of the Chinese banks to continue funding the project because of our debt servicing uncertainties. Whoops, lots of Nigerians have been reacting to that. Don't forget that for a while now we have been borrowing even to service our budget for the next year, and it's really worrisome. Our debt ratio is increasing. Just fairly recently, the vice president of Nigeria, Yemi Osinbajo, had actually gone to the United States to bargain and dialogue and lobby actually a climate for debt exchange, which is really nice if you eventually get it, because hey, we have a lot of green vegetables, we have a lot of forest. We can actually take the sink that comes with greenhouse effect. What I mean by greenhouse effect in summary is, a lot of these SINA claims, industrialized areas, industrialized countries, they emit a lot of hydrocarbons, which is very terrible to our climate. It gives a lot of ozone layer depletion. It gives ozone hole, okay, and with that ozone hole, it brings ultraviolet rays, which is not good for our skins, our bodies. It can even degenerate to skin cancer if exposed for too long to a depleted ozone layer, because it gives direct ultraviolet rays to our skin. So yes, a lot of countries would prefer, most countries, especially third world countries like Nigeria, to, not to cut down on their trees. Those trees absorb those hydrocarbons. Those trees, they're like reservoir. They breathe in, they take in those hydrocarbons, carbon dioxide, and they give out oxygen, which is good for the atmosphere, for man. So the more even Nigerians cut that tree, we don't have sinks anymore for that. So now Yemi Osinbajo have gone to negotiate that. If we have this, can we actually negotiate that for our debt as well, so we can find a way of repaying? Look at intelligent minds. I wonder why APC didn't even give it to Yemi Osinbajo. Too bad though. But let's find out what is happening in Nnpp. Looks like they're not having a good time at all. Agreement is going south, I must say. Well, according to Dr. Suleyo Solo, the media aide of former governor of Kano State, Senator Ibrahim Shekaru, has revealed details of the agreement his principal had with the presidential candidate of the new Nigerian People's Party, Nnpp, the Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, which was not implemented. Recall that Shekaru recently dumped the Nnpp for the People's Democratic Party, PDP, as a result of failure to implement an agreement they had. However, not much is known about the details of the agreement, shedding more light about what was agreed between the two former Kano governors before Shekaru joined Nnpp. On Trust TV, Shekaru media aide said this. He said, when Kwankwaso came, he said, I'm ready to give you 35%. Kano has 24 members of the House of Reps, 40 members of the State Assembly. He said, I'm ready to give you 35% of each. When we form government in Kano State, whatever number of commissioners and advisors we will appoint, I will give you 35% of each. However, some days later, he said they had saw handwritten names of Nnpp contestants for various elective positions flying on social media with only one person from Shekaru's camp on the list. He added that after Shekaru brought that list to the notice of Kwankwaso, he said he was sorry that he wouldn't be able to honor the 35% agreement that they had. Again, he said Kwankwaso scaled down the figure to 5%, and Shekaru still agreed. However, even the 5% agreement was still not implemented before the deadline set by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, for substitution of names got closed. And that was why he left for PDP. Talk about agreement, talk about not even being honorable to our words. Well, that's news for another time. That's going to wrap it up. Let's meet in our comment section. What's the take? With what is happening in Southeast, no railway. This is really sad. And what is happening in our debt ratio? This is also worrisome.